A very good morning to you, dear listener, and welcome to Perspectives, a current affairs discussion program on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makudi, Benue State. Today on Perspectives, we shall discuss conducting credible local government elections in Benue State. It is the first election that is coming since the proclamation of autonomy for local government councils in the country by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. And Benue is preparing to head to the polls to elect grassroots leaders comprising chairmen, their deputies, and councillors, which will form the legislative houses of the various local governments. What is the level of preparedness on the part of the political parties with regards to this election? And what is the electoral body doing with regards to putting its house in order to ensure that the election is free, transparent, peaceful, and credible, acceptable by all the parties involved? What are the best measures to be adopted to achieve credible polls as we look forward to the conduct of the exercise? These are the issues we shall try to dive into on today's edition of Perspectives. I have been joined here in the studio by discussants who will share thoughts with us. First is a seasoned expert on elections management. He has been involved at the highest national body of election management in Nigeria. He is a former resident electoral commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Kogi State, a political scientist, a former head of Department of Political Science at the Benue State University, Makudi. Professor James Apan is our guest on Perspectives. Welcome, Professor. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Nat, and good morning, listeners.
We also have a former Principal Special Assistant to the immediate past Governor of Benue State. He is a stalwart of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Benue State, one of the political parties that has fielded candidates for this election. Mr. David Mze, welcome to Perspectives, Mr. Mze.
Thank you, Mr. Nat Daniel, and good morning, viewers.
We are expecting the spokesperson for the caretaker committee of the APC in Benue State. He is the spokesperson and organizing secretary of the caretaker committee of the All Progressives Congress in Benue State, Mr. James Onguga, whom we extended invitation to, and he gave us his commitment to honor this program. We are looking forward to having him in the studio. As soon as he's here with us, we'll let you know, dear listener. Meanwhile, our efforts to get the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission to also feature on this program did not yield any result, as several attempts to engage the chairman of the commission and other staff of the commission, including the secretary of the commission, went unheeded too. We extended the invitation, and we hope that when they are available to share thoughts, of course, we are open to engage them. Dear listener, the program is audience participatory, broadcast from now to 11 a.m. And at 10 o'clock, we allow you to call in and also share thoughts on what we are discussing. You can do so by reaching us on 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. That is the line for you to participate. You can send us an SMS or a chat on WhatsApp to 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404. Remember, this program is also streaming live on our social media platforms, as well as on Agate TV. You can log on to www.agateradiotv.com to listen to us on our website as well. And also on Radio Garden, we're available. We'll take a short break, and once we are back, our engagement here in the studio will begin. Please don't go away. Kindly stay tuned. Thank you for being there, dear listener. Welcome back from that short break. I'd like to begin with you, Prof. You have been involved at the highest level of elections. Pronouncement on local government autonomy has been made. or to what extent does it represent walking the people towards a journey for democracy at the third tier of government?
Well, there's nothing really new. What the Supreme Court said is what is supposed to have been in place long ago. Local governments are supposed to be a separate level of government from the states. I was supposed to conduct elections into local government areas too, just like you do at the level of the states and the federal governments. It was far back in 1991 when the Babangida regime introduced these reforms at local government level and said local governments too should run the system of government. And so this is supposed to have been conducted, and they have been seemingly conducted over time. And so there's nothing really new about what is supposed to be done. Perhaps the Supreme Court judgment could just be a reawakening, so to say, about the need for local governments to also be independent and autonomous from the other levels of government.
All right. Mr. Mzee, does this election, a local government election in Benue, represent the aspirations of the people to get their leaders through a democratic process at the third tier of government?
Yes, Mr. Nangu, just like Professor said earlier, what the Supreme Court did on 11th of July 2024 is what ought to have been in existence, has been in place this past year. That is barely 2 decades that we have not had it. But whether the election represents what the people really yearn for, it's another thing together. Because what people actually want they prefer a situation whereby we're talking about turning for local government. They want a system whereby the elections should not even be conducted by the states. Because as far as the states are still conducting the elections, the autonomy is not, people don't feel, a lot of people are still yearning for more. The autonomy, the decision of the Supreme Court is a welcome one, it's a good development for the people at the grassroots, but it will be complete when we take away conduct of elections into the local government from the states. That is when it is going to be complete. Although the process is on, so it's on to correct that. So whether this election, local government elections, is really what people yearn for. Yes, people yearn for elections to local government, but they will prefer a situation whereby the state will not oversee the elections.
Okay, Prof. You are also aware that as a product of the Supreme Court proclamation for local government autonomy, the House of the National Assembly, comprising the Senate and House of Representatives, currently are pushing for establishment of a separate commission for conduct of local government elections in the country. As a basis for this discussion, do you consider it as being more appropriate for the National Commission for Local Government Elections to be in place rather than the state commissions conducting local government elections?
Well, you recall we spoke about that here before, and I did say, and I will say it again, that the Senate or the National Assembly has no business setting up another body to conduct local government elections. First, I did say that Nigeria runs a federal system of government, and so it is first of all even wrong to say INEC should conduct elections in local government councils. And besides, in fact, the even more worrying thing is that as now saying they set up a separate body. I did say, okay, if we're going to have a body at the federal level conduct elections, then at least we can let INEC do that. There was no point setting up another body. And I'm even against INEC conduct elections in local government council. I think it's better to have this. My colleague here did say that it's better for elections to be taken away from the states. I wonder how many bodies we're going to create to conduct elections. But of course, now that we already have the body, now that we already have the State Electoral Commission, then of course I think that body should be allowed to conduct elections in local government councils and not any other body.
All right. Now, let's come back to the Benue situation. Ms. Hamze, you are a member of the PDP. To what extent is your party prepared for the forthcoming local government elections in Benue?
It's the PDP, which I'm a member, it's well prepared for these elections. And let me make it clear here that the PDP has taken the lead as far as these elections are concerned. We conducted primaries first, submitted names of candidates first to BCEC. Well, our candidates were done with their screening before others even started. So in terms of preparedness, we are prepared and we are doing everything. That is why we have taken the lead. If somebody from BCEC was here and he was sincere, he would tell you the level we are. In fact, up to this morning, some parties, like for instance the APC, today we just saw a communication where somebody was they are still replacing candidates. Where the PDP, it's well done and settled with the candidate is fighting for the elections, both for chairmanship and councillorship. We are done with all of this long ago, and so we are well prepared and we are
Involved in the party primaries you conducted to select candidates for the chairmanship as well as councillorship. Did they monitor the exercise?
Yes, interestingly, we have somebody here who is an expert in election management, and he will tell you, even based on how the courts have said, you need to notify. It is not if they send somebody there, but I want to tell you, all relevant agencies that have to do with the election were carried along, including security agencies, during the primaries. So everybody was notified, and when they are sending people to monitor, sometimes they may not even tell you, but they will do their report. In fact, if they tell you, you might want to do something, and so they don't even tell you. But they are required to be notified. They were notified, and they also monitored and everything. That is why they have not had any issue accepting names from us. There's also no petition anywhere. There's also no court case anywhere that is challenging anything anywhere.
Okay, Prof, you are aware the local government election is fixed for October 5.
Well, a number of things have already been done by the INEC. First of all, if they hadn't been done, of course, the BSEC would have had to do that. Last the registration of voters, first and foremost, which of course has already been done by INEC. So what the INEC does is to give the voters list to the state electoral commissions. And so after that, of course, the notices have to be brought up by the state electoral commission, telling people as well as the parties that elections are due on a particular date, and of course requesting them to even conduct their primaries. In some cases, the INEC, like in the case of the INEC, it would even fix the dates for those primaries to be conducted. Of course, give a time within which the election should be conducted, and then the parties would decide the dates on which this primaries should be conducted. And then, of course, the BSEC in this case will also need to give a lot of publicity, hold meetings with the relevant stakeholders, give publicity, tell the people the days the elections are going to be conducted, and do a lot of publicity in that regard. And then they would also recruit ad hoc staff, train them, and post them. My worry in this case, the case of BSEC, is that I wonder whether they even have enough staff in the local government areas to conduct the elections. I don't know what has always been done. I don't know what the law even says regarding the conduct of elections, because in the case of INEC, of course, you have permanent staff in the states as well as the local government areas. But in the case of the State Electoral Commission, I don't even know whether they have enough staff in local government areas who can hold relevant meetings at that level with the stakeholders, as well as carry out publicity at that level for elections to be, telling people the elections are going to be conducted. But a number of things, these things need to be done, and from building up to the time of the date of the election. That is also basically the things that need to be done leading to the elections. And then on the election day, of course, they would hold meetings with the security agencies and also get the list of security staff and post them to the polling units, and then ensure that the ad hoc staff are also mobilized to the polling units as well as to the council wards where elections are going to be, materials to be distributed to the ad hoc staff in the polling units, elections to then be conducted, and results brought back to the local government headquarters. All
right, but given that we discussed earlier about you mentioned the non-desirability of having a separate commission for local government elections, especially at the national level. Is it practicable that BSEC, the commissions, rely on data of voters generated by the national body for conduct of elections at the state level,
Well,
local governments
yeah,
in
it saves a
particular?
lot of cost. First of all, it does save a lot of cost, and of course, it's something that has already been done. So, what's the point doing another one? And then this also saves a lot of cost on the part of the state electoral commissions to depend on that. In fact, they depend on much more than that. They depend on the voters list. They also depend on other materials like the ballot boxes and even the voting cubicles, which are collected from the INEC. And INEC is always very willing to release those to the state electoral commissions for them to conduct elections. Of course, the only thing that INEC doesn't always want to give out are the beavers. That's the biometric voter accreditation systems. Those ones can't be given out to the state electoral commissions. One, because they fear of the equipment being manhandled or rather mishandled. And so, if there are a number of things that the INEC has already done, which can be used by the state electoral commission, of course, there's no need doing them again.
All right. Ms. Hamze, what is the level of confidence building the Benue State Electoral Commission has had with political parties, and are you confident in them to conduct elections that will represent the aspirations of political parties and the electorate in general?
It's the chairman of the commission, of the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission, has assured political parties. There are 8 political parties that have fielded candidates for this election. So at the last meeting, the press conference, the most recent one which was held, he assured political parties of free, fair, and credible elections. That is what they have told us. And then we are holding them to their word. We are holding them to live up to what they have said. They have given us assurance. We as a political party, we made some demands which said campaigns should be issue-based. And then we also called on the government to make the process of obtaining tax clearance more transparent, because people were having issues with that initially. Members of other political parties were having issues with that. So these were the 2 demands we made. And so they are assuring us that it's going to be free, fair, and credible. So for now, we want to take them by their word. But the moment we begin to see steps or actions being taken that are contrary to that statement, you should rest assured that we are going to reason along.
Okay. At the moment, is that you are confident that are you confident with the stakeholder engagement they have had with political parties?
Yes, I'm just talking about what happened yesterday. So
Okay.
there was a meeting and the assurance were given. So we cannot just begin to doubt them the next minute.
Okay. Prof, in the course of preparing for this election, earlier the commission had fixed November 16 as the date for this election, the local government elections in Benue, which we are discussing. Later on, the then chairman of the commission was sacked. A new one was brought on board, and he announced a new date as against the earlier one of November 16 back to October 5. Does that represent confidence and integrity of the commission?
Yeah, it depends on what the former chairman was able to put in place. Perhaps he's convinced that a number of things have already been done, and so he can actually bring it forward and still be able to conduct credible elections. I'm not really privy to their own preparations, so I can't say. But I guess he thinks he's prepared for it.
Okay, but the worry the public should have is an umpire is changed in the middle of the process. He came, a timeline, a schedule was given. He reverted from that schedule, adopted a new one completely. Does that speak of?
Well, he also needed to have had stakeholder meetings, and explain to the stakeholders as to why he had to bring it forward. And if they are convinced or if they accept it, of course, he can go ahead. And then he also needs to let them know the preparations on ground. And that's the only thing that can convince them that he's prepared to conduct credible elections, if given the fact that he's even brought it forward. I think it's also in line with the rumors that we hear that the federal government gave the states a timeline within which they should have elected councils in place. I'm not sure about that, but that's the other rumor that I've heard. But I think basically, once the chairman is convinced that a lot of things have already been done and they're on ground, and then he convinces the stakeholders, and of course they can accept the new date, and then the elections can still be conducted.
Okay, Mr. Amze, let me have your comments on this. The sacking of the former chairman of the commission and the coming on board of a new one, changing a complete schedule of what the earlier commission headed by the sacked chairman was preparing. Does that represent confidence building?
Yes, the sack of the former chairman generated a lot of controversies. But then, when you don't have access to, when you don't have the facts, you hear these things and then probably take them as rumors, as Prof stated earlier about the timeline for states to conduct elections. Actually, that was a worrisome decision that then really got a lot of timetable was altered. Under normal circumstances, the new heads was expected to hold stakeholders engagement, as Prof had said. That was supposed to have been done. Then there would have been agreement on this. Then we can now say, let us bring it back. But again, I will want to say the change in the date, bringing it forward. It goes to tell that the rumors we heard that the federal government gave states a timeline of 3 months within which to have democratically elected structures of the local government or lose their allocation. I think it's true. The change in the date has given credence to that rumor. But like I said, it was worrisome. Why was the former chairman sacked? Then this one came on board, and everything was changed. The sack alone had generated a whole lot of controversy. So the shift, and now what has given credence to that rumor, it's changing the date from November 14th to October 5th. So I think that it could just be to make sure that the state has democratic structures in line with the timeline that we have heard that has been given to states. But the sack of the chairman is another thing which is already in court, and I wouldn't want to dabble into that.
Okay, but again, we'll talk about the integrity of the commission. When the new chairman was appointed, it was alleged that he is a card-carrying member of a political party.
Yes, all evidence pointed to the fact that he was a member of the APT, and we even saw there were stakeholders meetings of a political party, particularly the APC, which he was invited to, not stakeholders for the state, but of the APC, of a political party, which he was invited. I think there was sometime in April. People brought all of that. Some argued that after being appointed, he's supposed to have stepped down, but the truth is, he was a member of a political party. There is no doubt about that. He was a member, because there were pictures and even stories written on the campaign. I think sometime in 2019 or 2020, and then some of him attended meetings. But we heard those things. They were said. People brought screenshots of Facebook publications in the past, and then even notice of meetings where his name was there. But people have argued, so we've allowed that to rest. But that's the fact.
All right, Prof, from the point of view of one who has been involved in election management, when you have such allegations, does that give the people a feeling that the process will be transparent, credible, and fair?
Well, I'm not sure about that. Of course, there would always be allegations, and then this thing about card-carrying member, I'm not sure about that. Do members of political parties always have cards? So is it only members, people who carry cards that are sympathetic to parties? Is it not possible to have others who are not carrying cards but who are sympathetic to certain political parties? And then the other question is, don't people vote? Does voting also amount to being sympathetic to a political party or to particular candidates? So that discussion goes far beyond that. Let me then recall the discussions that have always gone around regarding the INEC. Most people have said that politicians appoint people, or the people in power appoint people as members of the commission, and so the process should be done differently. Some have even said that the process of interview should be conducted and the best person selected first as the chairman of the INEC, and as well as national commissioners and state electoral commissioners. And then some have said that the civil society and indeed all political parties should be involved in the selection of the chairman. So these are things that are discussions that have been going on. Perhaps the same thing could apply to the states. And so it is difficult for me to engage in the discussions about whether somebody is a card-carrying member, because I believe too that even if one is not card-carrying, he could still be sympathetic to a particular political party. And even those of us who vote, some of us vote basically for certain political parties, while others could vote for particular candidates. And so it's a difficult thing really to say. And then when it comes to the issue of credibility, well, that's also a different discussion, or rather, this discussion that follows the issue of appointment as to whether somebody who is sympathetic to a political party would be a credible person to conduct elections. But the other thing in this country is that we have depended too much on people. I've said it before, that we shouldn't be depending on persons or people. We should be depending on strong institutions. So once we have a strong institution, as in the Electoral Commission, of course, it really wouldn't matter who gets appointed as the chairman, whether at the INEC or at the State Electoral Commissions. I think that's the kind of thing you should be looking at. And then we're just going around, just a merry-go-round about people's affiliations instead of talking about building very strong institutions. That's what we should really look at.
Okay, Prof, do we have a strong electoral institution in Nigeria?
We don't have. I must confess, we don't have. That is why this whole discussions about who gets appointed comes up, whether somebody was appointed by a particular government in power, whether at the federal level or the state level, whether somebody is a card-carrying member, whether somebody has been appointed by a politician, which of course happens a lot. The same thing has been said about Edo State, for example. We now hear that the person in the colleague, or rather the Electoral Commission in Kogi State is a card-carrying member of the APC and all that. But I think it's unfortunate that we're still talking about things like that in this age. That is why I insist that not only with the electoral commissions, but with every other thing, we should have strong institutions backed up with rules or laws or regulations, and so that the issue as to who gets there should not matter anymore. Because the person, whoever gets there in the strong institutions, will naturally have to conform with that institution rather than the institution conforming with the person.
Okay, Mr. Amze, let me have your take on the aspect of strong electoral institutions, which Prof, who has been involved in election management, said we don't have. Why don't we have strong electoral institutions in Nigeria?
I completely agree with him. We don't have strong electoral institutions in Nigeria. And the reason is simple: the absence of the rule of law. Once the rule of law is in place, the institutions are going to be strong. You could say you could actually see agents of the state disagreeing with him publicly.
Yes.
It has not happened in this country, and I doubt it has not happened. The reason is simple. They have the rule of law is in place. So the host of the FBI knows that he is protected by the law. He was appointed by the law, is protected by the law. It's as simple as that. So once the rule of law is in place, the institutions are going to be strong. But let me also digress a little to the issue of the question you asked earlier about whether people are still worried, whether the person appointed, the allegations,
Yes.
they were never refuted. People said them, but they were not refuted. However, we expect, like I said, we expect that Prof said something. Is it only members of political parties or card-carrying members or registered members that are sympathetic to political parties? The answer is no. So even if you bring, so even somebody outside and can't still compromise. However, on this particular elections in Benin, we expect the chairman to uphold his integrity and do the right thing. I'm not sure, though, in as much as allegations are made, rumors are said, nobody ever went to court to challenge. I also know the position of the BSEC law anyway, but I know that definitely for electoral commissions, they wouldn't want members of political parties. Like I said, I don't know the position of the law on that, but whatever it is, we are expecting credible, free, fair, and transparent elections from the commission.
Dear listener, if you are just tuning in, you are listening to Perspectives on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM Makudi. We are discussing conducting credible local government elections in Benue State. Here, leading the discussion in the studio is the former resident electoral commissioner of INEC in Kogi State, Professor James Apa. David Imze is a former principal special assistant on media to the immediate past governor of Benue State and a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. We are still expecting spokesperson for the APC in Benue State, spokesperson for the All Progressives Congress, and organizing secretary of the Caretaker Committee, James Onguga, who gave us his commitment to join us. We're looking forward to having him. Meanwhile, we had earlier informed you that our efforts to get the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission to also feature on this particular edition of the program did not yield success, as our invitation to the chairman of the commission as well as the secretary went unheeded too. Whenever they are available, of course, the discussion is ongoing. We look forward to the October 5 local government election, and whenever they are available, our platform is open, provided it is sponsored at that time, because this is our initiative, this particular moment. You can participate on the program later on by calling in on 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. The line for SMS is 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404. If you are sending an SMS or a chat on WhatsApp to that line, please include your name and where you are sending the message from. That line is already activated. You may log onto our website on www.agetradiotv.com to also listen to this program. We're available on Radio Garden and social media platforms. Join us to be a part of this conversation. Prof, back to the subject matter of strong electoral institutions. How do we achieve that, especially at the third tier of government where elections are to be conducted now with the local?
That's the more worrying thing, whether they can ever imbibe that discipline for them to start. Just like my colleague talked about the rule of law. That's what the political actors would actually need to recognize and adhere to. And so that's why the whole thing begins. That we have constitutional provisions as to how this body should be constituted. And indeed, like I said, it's not only about electoral bodies. We need to have strong institutions generally in this country. And that's what has been worrying over the years. And so we rely not on institutions but on persons. And then the persons are no more dependable. And so there's no way we can have a rule of law. Then we also keep having policy somersaults just because we're not relying on institutions but we're relying on persons. And so that discipline, first of all, needs to be there from the political actors. And then they also need to observe provisions of the rule of law. The rule of law is something that is very broad. Not only do you have to adhere to constitutional provisions, you also have to adhere to the fact that the law courts are supposed to adjudicate on matters or disputes between persons as well as between governments and the people. And so that's the kind of things that we need to get basically. We pressure has always been coming from both individuals as well as civil society groups. But of course, the people in power have not budged. And then, of course, the pressure needs to be sustained for them to accept that we need to have some order in this country. The order then means that so many things are going to be done rightly.
Okay, Mr. Amzi. Now, let's look at the preparedness of the voters in this forthcoming local government election. To what extent do you think the voters have that sense of enthusiasm to participate in the election?
Yes, this is a very sensitive part of this local government election, an aspect of it. I don't, like I said, the fact that BSEC is conducting this election, some persons, imagine INEC was conducting local government elections, the enthusiasm would have been more. And then in order it would have been more, people would have, recently there has been voter apathy. In Benin, for instance, turnout has been between 33 to 35% voter turnout. At most 40. I'm talking of the average now across the three local governments in the state. Even that 40, I'm struggling to accept it. It's 35. Let's do at 35. So I have, in recent times, I have only been to places, like for instance in my local government, and I could see the enthusiasm amongst PDP members during the primary election. And then I could also see that yes, people were rushing, people were trying to beat time to buy form for council election, with some even saying, no, yes, it is not, based on zone, it is not my turn, but if people should allow me to go. So within my own party, there is the voters within my party, but whether the general voters, those who don't belong to have no political affiliation, they simply vote, whether they're enthused. I don't know the level of engagement the commission has engaged them, but the political parties are the ones trying to build this enthusiasm. For now, the political parties are the ones trying to rally around their supporters and then people within their domains to ensure that they turn out to vote on the day of the election. But then, whatever we may say at this point about the enthusiasm will only become visible and conspicuous on the day of the election, because it's the voter turnout on the day on the 5th of October that will even determine if at all the people were enthused or not. But normally, with the coming of local government autonomy, it is supposed to spark. It's supposed to spark this enthusiasm in the voters. But to be sincere with you, on the general, I cannot really say that. But at the level of political party, yet in my own party where I belong to, because I was there during the primary election and I could see. But what on the general note it is what I cannot vouch for.
Okay, Prof, what is responsible for sometimes voter apathy?
Now, that's a good question. Let me refer to what my colleague said about the hope that the election should have been conducted by INEC rather than the State Electoral Commission. I think it's about the same thing. I'll just keep saying it. I seem to be saying the same thing over and over, but of course, let me say it again. It's about the same thing. It's just like when the INEC conducts the election at the federal level, then the parties that lose out for one reason or the other would say, well, we wish that the West African Parliament would set up an electoral commission that conducts elections in Nigeria. So it's just the feeling that once elections are conducted by another party, then of course they won't be credible. And that is why I'm going back to the issues about trying to build strong institutions that we can depend on. Yes, these things also add up to the fear of the doubts about credibility, and that is when you have the issues of voter apathy. People who are supposed to go out to vote would feel that their votes won't change anything, and that they probably would be able to vote, but other results are going to be announced other than what they actually voted for. And so that leads to a lot of apathy. And then over time, we really haven't been able to have credible elections, especially at the local level. And some people feel there's even no need to go there at all. And then in some cases, we've also heard, and even this morning we're discussing with some colleagues where we'll go out to exercise, that in some cases, every preparations will be done, staff could be posted or supposedly posted, and then voters go out to the polling unit on that day and they don't see anybody. And so there's no reason why those people would want to go again another time. And so we need to build back confidence over time by the kind of things that are done, building the strong institutions that are dependable and reliable, and showing people that what is being done is actually going to be credible before they really you can get back that trust. And that is when you're going to have large voter turnout. And he talked about 35% or so. In fact, unfortunately, even the INEC accepts 44% voter turnout as acceptable. Even though as a person, I don't find that acceptable because I'm a teacher. And so as a teacher, the only pass mark you have is 50%, especially in the case of election. If ordinarily, maybe when student gets about 40%, you say he or she has an E. And then 45% is a D. But you know very well that the acceptable pass mark, especially for graduate students, is at least 50. And so I would expect the same thing even in an election. The voter turnout should be around 50% at least upwards before you can say, I can say the elections were actually credible or in terms of the people coming out to vote. Democracy is about numbers, actually, even though some of us also have doubts about these numbers. Because for us to define democracy as majority rule, we can also say democracy is a tyranny of the majority over the minority. But of course, it's good for us to have a majority anyway. And then we accept that at least a greater number of people have accepted a particular person in office. And that's when you really can say the elections were credible and widely, there was very wide participation in the elections.
Okay, in terms of confidence building, do you see that the voters are a bit enthusiastic about this forthcoming local government election to be credible?
I'm not sure about that because I haven't heard much about elections in the first place. You just talked about elections being brought forward. I'm even surprised. I'm just hearing that for the first time. Elections even brought forward to 5th of October. Did you say 5th of October?
Very well.
And as in fact, I haven't seen it on the ground. I haven't heard much from the Electoral Commission. At least they're now there on radio or television telling us the elections are going to be conducted. I really haven't seen it. And then I did talk about the issue as to whether BSEC, for example, has enough staff to conduct elections. I haven't had an announcement, or has anyone been made about the recruitment of ad hoc staff?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I think they said they should apply online or something like that. But then what about the staff in the electoral officers in local government areas? I don't know usually how the BSEC gets its own electoral officers, whether they get civil servants from the state, because the BSEC can't keep permanent staff over a long time who will be doing nothing and being paid. Though INEC does that, but of course INEC has to go through one thing or the other, because they're the ones who also conduct the continuous voter registration exercise.
Yes.
But in the case of state electoral commissions, they don't even conduct continuous voter registration exercises. So you can, if we're going to have permanent staff, we keep them over a number of years for doing nothing, especially that we haven't had regular elections at the local government level. So I don't know whether they've recruited the electoral officers to work in the local government areas. So we're not really seeing much on the ground in terms of talking about elections being conducted on that 5th of October. So that is a worrying thing.
Okay, Mr. Amze, the Benue State House of Assembly, it's in public domain, that approved over 7 billion naira to fund the conduct of this election.
That's 6.5 billion.
Okay, 6.5.
Yes.
All right. In terms of funding, are you satisfied with that figure? Is it within what you find acceptable or bogus for the local polls?
To be sincere, the figure is bogus, given how much was budget approved for the last election within 2 years. We have taken that into consideration. When the figure came out, people said, wow. So it's a reaction to the whole thing. But, well, if someone from BSEC was here, probably he would have taken time to justify the figure. But since someone from BSEC is not here to tell us why they needed that much, I will just leave it at the wow. Yeah, the figure it's shocking. 6.5 billion. I think the last election, it's 2 years ago. What was spent is not even up to it's less than a quarter of that figure was spent. Though. If they were here, they would have justified it. They would have told us why we need that much. But again, with that kind of figure being budgeted for elections, they have no reason not to give us credible elections because the amount involved in the election is huge. So they owe the people the duty to ensure the process is transparent.
Prof, you have been involved in election management. What are the logistics that Benue State Electoral Commission at the level of state needs that this kind of amount may be sufficient, may suffice for the funding?
The Naira has fallen in value drastically, and so the bulk of the money could go into payment of ad hoc staff, procurement of other materials. They need to print ballot papers. They need to print some other maybe result sheets. They also need money for logistics like the transport, movement of staff, movement of materials. Those things basically. And then with the fall in the value of the Naira, of course, the money could have risen. But again, just like my colleagues say, these things need to be the public domain. The INEC budget, the budget by the Electoral Commission can actually be put in the public space, especially at least to the meetings of stakeholders, which include not only political parties, but of course members of the civil society. And they can look at it. Then we accept the fact that certain things are always unforeseen. Maybe I should have also included the issue of movement of security personnel and even the payment of those security personnel and other forms of logistics. Some of these things may actually, the political party people, the civil society leaders, they can actually look at it. And then, of course, other things, of course, will not always be there in the public domain, but it gives everyone an idea of how much is actually required to conduct elections, especially in view of the kind of the falling value of the Naira.
Okay, as a component of this, let's talk about it briefly before we engage with the listener. Even the sale of forms on the part of the political parties now. For instance, the APC sold the chairmanship form for 5 million naira. The PDP sold for 100,000 naira. Do you find that amount suitable at the level of council?
It is outrageous. It is outrageous. First, it has to be the feeling that once you belong to the ruling party, you're automatically the candidate. That's unfortunately that's the thinking. Unfortunately, and so the ruling party would say at that rate or that figure, because the feeling is that once you're able to get nomination in the ruling party, you're as good as a chairmanship candidate. I think it's most unfortunate. These things have been happening over time. As I remember several years ago, the INEC was in the same practice of asking for a fee for people who were given nominations. And the late Gani Fawami took the INEC to court. At that time, there wasn't called INEC. I've forgotten what the name was called then. And the court ruled that the INEC had no right to collect money from the candidates. And of course, it's since then stopped. And so this one is not about the Electoral Commission just yet. I think it's about political parties themselves.
Yes.
Very well.
And so somebody also needs to challenge them to that. They will still go around illegally collecting these monies anyway, because when you hear 5 million, what the person is spending is much more than 5 million. I remember what they do is even in Abuja. By the time somebody gets a form, you hardly can even take it out without some other people hanging around trying to take money out of you. I've seen people's forms virtually being torn to pieces just because they were not able to quickly bring us some money to give to the young people who hang around these offices, the party offices. I think it's most unfortunate. And that also needs to stop, because these things are not for sale. That's the impression that has been created, that basically the positions are out there for sale. For God's sake, how will you sell a form at 5 million naira? 5 million naira for a local government election. So I think it's unacceptable.
Is it possible for, I don't know what obtains in the electoral law as reviewed for Benue, but at the level of INEC, does INEC, where you were involved, have a ceiling of how much a political party can sell its vote?
The INEC doesn't have a law on how much the forms should be sold. It has a law on how much should be spent by the candidate. And of course, what is being spent begins from how much the form was sold. So there's a way that the INEC calculates how much the candidate has. That's in the law. That this is so amount of money that should be spent by a particular candidate at a particular level. So of course that amount begins with how much the form is sold. So the parties need to be mindful of that. If the INEC says, okay, for governorship election, you should spend nothing more than, say, 20 million naira, then of course you also need to be mindful of how much you sell the form, because that's why the INEC will start calculating how much would have been spent by the particular candidate.
Okay, Mr. Amze, help us understand the justification briefly why you political parties will peg such huge amounts for positions.
My political party has not pegged that huge amount of positions. If I recall,
but you probably did it when you were also in power. That's
no. We sold it for 200,000. We never went. we never even got up to. We never went up to even 500,000. Okay. We never did that. And there's something I want to. Before quickly, let me clarify something.
Yes.
These forms you're talking about, the other people, there were two sets of forms for this election sold by the APC. The other people that are referred to as the stakeholders sold their forms, was it 300,000 or 400,000? That was the elected leadership under Austin Agada. And then it was this caretaker. It was this caretaker that came. And then so the APC in Benin has two factions. So the two factions sold forms. So the ones that is deemed to be pro-stakeholders, which are the stakeholders, sold their forms, was it 300,000 or 400,000? It is the ones that people refer to as the masses, or the caretaker committee that came, that sold at 5 billion naira. And that is why we had two in public domain. In public domain, we have two sets of lists, and we've even been seeing where both factions have been laying claim to. Both groups, have been laying claims to. We are the ones with the authentic list. You don't. We are this also. I'm the one with the authentic list. If Mr. James Unga was here, I think he would have had to answer some of these questions, because his party sold two sets of forms. The other people sold for 300,000 or 400,000 at maximum for chairman. The other one now sold for 5 million. So when you said APC sold form for 5, I needed to clear. Though I'm not even the APC, but it's an opponent. So we also follow what they do, because we are facing them.
Yes.
So, and we also have toll lists. It's in public domain, which I believe you are also aware. You must have seen it somewhere.
In fact, I should have added that sometimes it's sold around field because first it even discourage others.
Okay.
Thinking as a way of eliminating others, which is also wrong. You want to eliminate others in the process is wrong. This is a democracy. Everyone should have a chance, and then the people will decide who gets there.
Okay, we'll take a short break, and once we are back, we'll begin to engage with you, dear listener. Kindly stay tuned. You are still listening to Perspectives. We'll be back. Thank you very much for staying tuned, dear listener. You are still listening to Perspectives on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makurdi. We are discussing conducting credible local government elections in Benue State. You can call in on 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. Once you connect with us, we would like to know your full name and where you're calling from. Then make your submission very brief. You can send us an SMS to 0912 699-9404. Hello, good morning and welcome to Perspectives.
Yeah, good morning, Nathaniel.
Good to have you join us.
John James from Mapa, local government of Benue.
All right.
Thank you so much for this program. See, it's a job that the political parties have been doing, but they are failing in that direction. In those days, days where there is always fractions within a party, and there are two factions each selling differently. This is a confusing situation where the electorate will not know which directory camp they have to pitch their tent. We, the electorate, we are almost confused all this why, because in those days it wasn't like that. You see, like an aspirant who is aspiring for Senate, telling his people to vote for a president in another political party. This is confusion. Political parties were meant, one of their duties was to give the electorate the requisite knowledge concerning what to do when elections are up to come.
Okay.
And this time around, it's not so. So they should change narrative.
Okay, okay, James, before you go, hello, James.
Yes, I'm here.
So in the forthcoming local government election, you are not satisfied with the direction given or any kind of sensitization or mobilization by both political parties that may have fielded candidates for the elections?
Yeah, you see, even in the rural areas here, we have people that were contesting. All of a sudden, we hear of other candidates that were picked from some camps. We heard on the radio that social person is being nominated in an election, those primary elections. All of a sudden, we hear another news that other people have been nominated. This was all in APC. So we, the electorate, who are we going to follow? The same APC having two candidates for Lightning and from both local government. The same party is having two candidates. And if I am to vote, who am I to vote for? That is confusing.
All right.
That's my problem.
Thank you, James.
So they have to do something better to solve their internal problems. All these political parties have to do that. They have to solve their internal problems. Right. You know, when I was talking about the presidency and the House of Senate, I was talking about the PDP in the last election. So this thing is not going well for the political party.
All right.
James, the Electoral Commission is supposed to publish the names of
James Donove. Thank you. Thank you so much.
The Electoral Commission is supposed to publish the names of the candidates. Do you call them candidates at that point? Yes, the candidates at the election. Yes.
We'll be back shortly. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Nat.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Yeah, my name is Dogara. I'm calling you from Northern Makodi.
Dogara who?
Asoguni Dogara.
Okay, good to have you join us, Asoguni Dogara. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, myself in the studio.
Morning.
Good morning.
Please, it's my own personal opinion anyway. I'm looking at this local government, the forthcoming local government, to be a selection and not election. It's just few of us who are privileged to listen to the radio that are aware of the process or some of these things going on about the election. What about those who don't listen to the radio? No campaign from any other party. October 5th is just few weeks away from here. Yet you say you are going to hold election. So I doubt the credibility of that election. That's my submission.
Okay, Asogoni?
Yes.
Is it because there are no campaigns that you doubt the credibility of it, or are there other factors?
Those are just... Campaign is one of the platforms a candidate sell himself to the public. Right?
Very well.
Yes. You cannot vote who you don't know. You cannot even vote who... You don't even know what he hold at mind to do for you. You can look at the situation we are in now. Truth and not just lie.
Anyway, I'm not in your mind, so it's your perspectives on this subject. Thank you so much, Asogoni Dogara. I appreciate you for calling in.
You're welcome.
All right. 0814-335-9292. We're getting feelings of what that's part of the enthusiasm of the voters we're talking about. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives.
Nathaniel.
Yeah. Good morning. Welcome, sir.
Yes, my regards to the guests in the studio. My name is Justin Weary.
Good. Justin Weary.
I'm calling behind Commissioner's quarters in Makodi here.
All right. Good to have you join us, Justin.
Yes, I want to contribute briefly to the topic in the studio.
Very well. We're listening to you.
Yeah, we're talking about local government polls, and everybody knows that there's a lot of issues that have to do with credibility of the process. Now we have a new actors at the helm of affairs, even in the state. The person that is the governor now is not a career politician. So we're thinking that there's going to be sanity, fairness, and justice even in the entire electoral process. But you can see a build up to this election shows a lot of inconsistency, you know. And the DSEC keep changing names of aspirants that have been submitted. It shows that a lot has not been tidied up at that process. So, one, there's going to be voter apathy. One, because people don't have confidence in the process. And two, the issue of mobilization. You know how much a liter of fuel costs now. So you expect people to be mobilized to go and vote in a process that they are not even sure at what cost. So the mobilization is very, very poor, even among electorate. People are not enthusiastic at all. So, and I can bet you that we are ready to accept any result that is going to come out. Although there are going to be litigation, we foresee a lot of litigation because of participants in the process. So that is just my contribution. Thank you so much.
Justin.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you for calling in. All right. So many things Justin has pointed out there. 0814-335-9292. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives.
Good morning, presenter.
Thank you so much for joining
And
us.
good morning, Engineer Augustine Eke, strengthening institutions. For like the electoral empire, my suggestion is that the electoral empire should be by election. It should be elected, not appointed by the government of the day. Because if he is appointed by the government of the day, there is nothing that will make it that the appointment will not be by bias. And then secondly, again, I also want to encourage this issue of e-election or online election. The country, the most peaceful country in the world today is Iceland, and Iceland conduct their elections online. So if the most peaceful country in the world conducts election online, what stops us from copying them? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Augustine. So you are advocating our elections should be online, electronic voting, including
electronic voting and then elected umpire.
Including Benue State experience at the local
Yes,
government?
Sir. Exactly.
You think we are ripe for that?
If at BSU they did that, so if they can do it at BSU, it can be done anywhere.
BSU is just a small institution with a few number of students to manage as candidates or electorates.
Let me say, when there is the will, there is the way.
Augustine, thank you for your position. Thank you very much for calling in. 0814-335-9292. That's the line to participate on the program. You can send us an SMS to 0912-699-9404. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, presenter.
Good to have you join us on Perspectives.
Yes, my name is Augustine Edo. I'm calling from Uruku Makodi.
Okay, the last caller was Augustine, and here we have an Augustine. So,
yeah, the Augustine have the line now.
Okay, Augustine Edo, go ahead, please.
Yes, the issue from the past, what people say is that the incumbent government or the political party will clear all the seats. Even sometimes it's a word you don't see election being conducted. It's being held, the party will change, but the paddle is still rolling to that same direction. And now that we have a local government autonomy, what we should be encouraging people to do is, in the midst of even a current or APC being governor in the state, PDP and other party, Labour Party, can also emerge in other local government. It doesn't matter whether a governor is from a particular party. But people, currently, we have a PDP House of Assembly, APC House of Assembly, right now the Benue State House of Assembly. It can also equally happen at the local government level. They have been nominated. People don't know them. And the PDP, they are not helping matters. You don't even see posters, you don't see jingles, you don't see any advert to see that, yes, local government is coming is going to be held on the 5th of next month. Next month is almost 15 days from now. So it's a selection. So the whole thing should change. We can't have a local government autonomy and the ruling party will be selecting or appointing anybody they want to be ruling. Then the opposition party, they should wake up. We can't continue like this so that there will be accountability and transparency.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Augustine Edo, for your contribution. You political parties are tasked to wake up. Mzee, we are going to come back to you. Why you political parties are not campaigning? You are not printing posters, according to Augustine, not my position. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
Yes, my regards to all your guests in the studio.
All right, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Vincent Ako. I'm calling from Ishabakut Road.
Okay, go ahead, Vincent.
Okay. You know, we have two major political parties in Nigeria, which is the PDP and the APC. And now that the PDP are done with all their own process of replacing candidates, and the APC are not done with their own, even until now. I hope anybody will not complain or cry foul when results are announced and that person is not favored. I'm asking the chieftain of the PDP. And I want to also say that, let me be honest, I am not satisfied with the manner in which this election, in which they are trying to conduct this election, because there are no campaign, no poster, nothing. So how can we know whether if the election is not through selection, just like my fellow callers say? But please, I would like the chieftain of the PDP to please answer me. If there won't be any complaint or anybody will not cry foul when results are announced and the person is not favored, since the PDP are done with their own process of selection, according to the chieftain. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Vincent. Okay, we'll come back to address that. Look, the line is still open. Let's engage with the listener. You can send us an SMS also to 0912-699-9404. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you. This is Patrick Nakombo on the line.
Okay, Patrick Nakombo. Where are you reaching us from?
I'm calling from Ishaya Bakut Road.
Okay, we are listening to you, Patrick.
Okay, I want first of all thank Ade Radio for providing this platform so that some kind of awareness and education is provided in respect of the forthcoming elections. And I also want to say that the president, the ruling, the Supreme Court ruling, it's a welcome development. The third tier of government must work. And if it works well, we'll all be better for it. I remember that the local government system used to have Department of Works where they grade streets and do some jobs at the local level. And it was very interesting. By this, it means whoever we emerge as a chairman of a local government, it's so important, conducted credibly. The elections should be conducted credibly so that we will have candidates that we are proud of. And I would say that one of the easiest way we know that there is credible election is when you have other parties also winning, at least in a local government or two. That will also give some kind of, assurance that, oh yes, there was a fair contest in this election. So contribution.
Quickly, Patrick, do you see that happening in Benue as we look forward to the local government election? Is that your expectation?
Yes, for me, I think it's very possible it's going to happen. Because in the past, we didn't even know when there was a local government election. We only just heard that A, B, and C, emerged. But that we are now hearing this on the radio and there's interactions around it. No, I want to believe that.
Hello, Patrick. You mean in the past, no information at all. We imagine that local government elections are coming up and it will just be leaders announced?
Yes, it will just be very quiet and like a dead situation until you just hear candidates have emerged.
Okay, so what is different now? Is it because radio is talking about it now that something is different, maybe?
Yes, apart from Age Radio talking about it, there were primaries by the various political parties that we heard of, that they have conducted primaries. And in the past, I could tell you that there were no primaries. It was just, we were told they were all consensus candidates. But we are having a situation where there are primaries and people emerging from those primaries. I think for me that's a step to show that there's a step towards some level of participation and transparency.
All right,
I
Patrick.
don't want to preempt what the elections will be, but I'm being very hopeful that it will give us candidates that will be
Consensus
proud
is
of.
also primary election.
Patrick, thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution. All right. The politicians are quick to defend their position. So, Patrick, the political chieftain of PDP is letting you know that consensus is also part of the primaries. So, it's all right. We'll come back to you shortly. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
Nathaniel.
Good to have you join us on Perspectives.
Yeah. My name is Jonathan Ichawe. I'm calling from North Bank.
All right. Welcome to the program, sir.
Yes. Let me thank the persons in the studio, your discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you,
They
sir.
have done well. Where they talked about strong institutions. Yes, we need strong institutions in Nigeria, and particularly in the electoral process. We don't have them as of now, just like they said. But what makes strong institutions? They mentioned one. They mentioned the rule of law, and that is very important. But more importantly, credible persons in those institutions. You can have the law, and people will break it, and nothing will happen to them. So we do not have credible persons in Nigeria. Majority of us are there in politics for commercial purposes, not for service. And then our institutions, particularly our elected people, do not respect the judgment of the courts. See what is going on in Benue State. When the present regime came in, we thought the governor being a reverend gentleman, he will respect the rule of law. The elected chairman were dissolved in spite of an injunction by court that they should not. Then they went telling lies that they found the chairman guilty of one crime or the other. Up till now, none of them has been charged to court for committing any crime. Then there is an injunction in APC that Agadas this thing should not be dissolved. The National Secretary dissolved it, sent a caretaker committee. Nobody cares for what the court says in this country, particularly elected governors. It is not just this one that is doing it. The previous ones have been doing it. So there is no hope. Nathaniel, let me tell you, if we continue in this way, we are not learning anything. In fact, the First Republic was much better than what we are having now. You get my point.
Very well, sir. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you so much. So,
There is no fear of God. We are so religious, and nobody fears God. Nobody, including the Reverend Priest. Maybe he takes Benue as
hello, sir.
parish.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Parish.
Thank you. Our subject
Yeah, I
is
know you won't allow me to say this one.
Our subject is the local government election. So maybe
Yeah,
how can we achieve
about
credible
local
poll?
government.
Very well. So just give us a word how we achieve the credible poll in one word and then conclude, sir.
Yeah, we are expecting a credible poll. We expect that the fear of God will come into everybody, and they will allow what the voters have voted. They allow people to vote, and the results will count. That is what we are expecting.
All right, sir.
I was just telling you that the reality on ground doesn't suggest.
Okay, sir.
But we are hopeful. We are looking up to God.
Thank you, sir.
Not up to men.
Thank you very much. Thank you for calling. We are looking up to God. Anyway, but if we are looking up to God for everything, then it means there is a problem. We need to address that a systemic problem. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Kindly move away from your radio so that we can engage better.
I am Godwin Yajo from Bajimba Guma local government.
All right. Welcome, Godwin Yajo.
Thank you. Thank you very much for bringing this program. It's very interesting to intimate our electorate to vote the chairman that are vying for the position of local government. First and foremost, we are in democracy, and democracy mostly is preferred by pluralism. Pluralism means the system that carry many people population among, so that everybody will have a representation. But the case is not the same in African democracy, particularly in Nigeria and Benue State. We are appealing to the politicians who are saying they are stakeholders, so that they make the decision of the democracy, that they should revise their own policy. Otherwise, people will get out of the democracy. Hence, the principle of the democracy.
Godwin Yajo, hello. Hello, Godwin
Yeah.
Yajo. Hello.
I'm hearing it.
Godwin Yajo.
Yes.
Much as we have, we acknowledge that we have a reverend gentleman as governor. He is not chairman of the commission. So we are discussing basically the credible conduct of the election. So let's stay on the issue of the local. Let's keep whoever is in position at the moment away from our discussion. Yes.
The credible election is by putting the strategies on ground, especially the INEC himself. They're supposed to put the policies that will guide the transparency and good strategies on ground so that people will follow. Simple as that.
All right.
Thank you.
We appreciate you for calling in. Okay, before we engage with more people, Ms. Amze, let me start with you this time. Why are you politicians not campaigning, as alleged by the callers, that everywhere is silent? Nothing seems to be happening as if elections are coming up. Are you mobilizing voters?
Yes, when you look at this election was earlier fixed for November 14th. So we had a timetable where campaigns were to start somewhere in October, where we're going to take like 2 to 3 weeks, because this is a council election where, for instance, where I come from, we have 11 council wards. So we can use a day to cover a council ward. So we could use 11 days. Then there are places we need to revisit again. So we're looking at starting from the middle of October. But then we woke up one day and then we were hit with a fresh timetable, which has now brought the time forward for the election. So we had to immediately call our people together. So okay, fine. Interestingly for us, we had sold forms. So we now have to do the process of submitting these candidates. So we are done with the election. We have submitted it. They have been screened by both the party and BCEC. So we immediately hit the ground with their own campaigns across the wards. So we kind of run into a scratch program that has really made it for us to go that way. But saying campaigns are not ongoing, we are doing it. PDP as a party, for instance, PDP as a party is doing it. You could, and the thing is, the thing is, most of this PDP, like I said, PDP is done with anything that has to do with submission of list of candidates, screening and everything, where PDP is done with it. The other parties are not even done, have not even up to this stage. APC up to this moment is still substituting candidates. If Mr. Jason God was here, I would have shown him the letter, which was authored by him, which is basically on social media, where the chairmanship kind of the party in my local government was changed. Party for APC, not the PDP. I have it here with me. I was coming to the studio but then he's not here. So, so what people should be encouraging political parties, especially PDP and others, is that they should intensify their people were just announced. I think that is where I need to commend and Agate Radio for bringing this topic up, this matter up at a time like this, because it has really gone a long way since some people are getting to know the elections for the first time today. As even the issue of ad hoc recruitment, and some we are getting to know today. So the PDP has been campaigning as a party, but first the thing came to us. We have to come out of our initial plan. The PDP now had to go into the process of nominating candidates, pushing them, submitting, and going through all the necessary clearance. So now that the PDP is done, the party has fixed a meeting where a stakeholders meeting within the party, and then people will now hit the council words with the campaigns. So PDP is very much doing what it ought to do, but PDP can really be encouraged to do more, because from more indications it appears people are interested in what the PDP is going to offer, the opposition PDP is going to bring. So as for the PDP, which I'm a member.
Yes, one of the callers even tasked you, the opposition party, because as far as Benue is concerned, you are the main challenger. You are the leading opposition party. But the caller did allege that you are not giving a vibrant or a formidable opposition.
No,
is that true?
I don't think he didn't say. He said we should. He was talking more of the sensitization of voters and the electorate. He didn't say PDP is not offering opposition to the government. If I recall correctly, his call is on the local government election. Okay. But if he goes on to say of the opposition, I don't understand. Do we need to start going to people's houses to beat them to come to agree? Anyway. The PDP has been on its toes in suggesting to the government what to do, in criticizing government decisions constructively.
Okay. Hello. Good morning.
But we will only do more.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Yes, my name is Orahi Theophilus.
Yes, we are listening to you, Orahi. Where are you reaching us from?
I'm calling you from Wurukun Market, Makodi.
Good. Go ahead, Orahi.
The issue of local government elections, it's quite unfortunate. I want to align with fellow callers who have been talking about not having enough publicity about the campaigns and all of that. You know, even the people who are nominated by political parties to run this election, some of them are even reluctant to even get themselves in campaign and beckon on people to vote for them, because they know that automatically they are going to win. But I don't think that's what they should be doing by now. They should tell us the manifestos, tell us what they want to do, so that they will be held accountable for that. And that's my first contribution. The second one is, Mr. Nathaniel, I know you to be a very good moderator. But today you almost went out of place, because Elder Jonathan Echave actually gave his contribution as if it is an attack of personality on the governor, though I'm not holding briefs for the governor.
Okay.
But he went too far. That the governor is running the state like a parish, it's not good. Whenever someone is going out of your topic, you have to call his or her attention for that.
All right.
Because let us.
Okay.
But that's what he did.
That's what he did.
Orahi, I think you heard the caller himself saying, "I know you won't allow me to say this." Did you hear him saying that?
But he said it already.
Okay, so I wasn't the one. I was at the point he said it. I knew he was stepping outside of our discussion, and I had to correct him. In any case, I am not perfect. I may have my own imperfections as a moderator too. So I acknowledge if you say there is a shortcoming on my part, I acknowledge. But we'll continue to stay on the subject matter. Thank you.
That's better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Theophilus. Thank you very much. This is also to strengthen that. If you stay on the subject we are discussing, credible local government election. Ms. Samze, before I come back to Prof shortly, Vincent Akko was asking you that you earlier stated your political party
We are
is
done with the process.
holding done with your primaries and holding BSEC to account. When the process is concluded, hope you won't go to court.
You see, that statement is, and I found it very funny because we are optimistic. We have been, and the PDP is optimistic of the elections. PDP, they are saying it because people were not even participating in the election. The PDP took the lead by coming out to conduct primaries, nominate candidates, and tell people to have faith in the process. I think PDP should be commended for that. But telling PDP that, because you have taken the lead, I hope you will not complain when other people are announced. I find no sense in that. In every election, if you feel
it's actually contradictory.
It's contradictory.
All right.
Because rather, I was even thinking, especially if you say, okay, PDP might be announced since PDP is the only party that is preparing for the election. So let the others not complain.
That's okay. All right. So if at any point in time the process is breached, you are entitled to litigation.
The PDP is entitled to litigation. Not just PDP, even the APC and any other political party in the election.
That's fine. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for holding on. Welcome to Perspectives.
Yes, sir. My name is Mr. Jairo Tumala. I'm calling from High Level.
Good to have you join us, Jairus or Tumula.
Thank you. My own is the general advice to everybody, whichever political party you are coming from. You only know your strength. You don't know the strength of others. You can only commend yourself, not the other political party commend you. Because everybody has their own different.
Jairus, you sound so low. Okay. Could you speak up a bit so we hear you better?
Okay, I'll do that.
Very well.
Yes. Coming to general contribution of a topic like this, this is not a matter of mention somebody with you. So hello, cut the person off.
No, that would be too disrespectful.
That
would be too disrespectful.
Bring crisis.
Jairus.
I'm listening to you, sir.
For instance, if I caught you now, you will not tolerate that. No.
If I have gone wrong, if I've gone out of the track, cut me. No. You are right.
All right.
That is your duty.
Okay, thank you.
That is your right.
I understand.
And no one can challenge you for that.
Thank you very much, Jairus. Thank you.
Yes. You have even done it to me more than 3 times. But I commend you.
Okay, so Jairus, I am not a subject today. Is the local government election? Let's return to that.
Yes, to local.
Okay.
Avoid crisis. Avoid fighting.
Okay.
We are still going to remain as one. We are going to remain as a person. We are going to remain as a Benue.
Thank you, Jairus.
Nobody is coming from anywhere to rule us. It's we. It's my brother, your sister. So avoid crisis, avoid fighting, avoid snatching, avoid all manner of things that will bring on a heavy situation in our state.
Thank you, Jairus. Thank you.
Let us go to the poll, cast our vote. You vote to wait. You don't want to wait. You go home. INEC, be straightforward, be sincere, be honest, be devoted to your work. Stand on your right. Do what you're supposed to do as a security man. Don't harass people because there's a criminal on the studio, on the polling unit. Do what you are asked to do. Don't do outside what you are told to do.
All right.
As far as security man, INEC is concerned.
Thank you, Jairus.
Thank you, just my general advice.
Thank you for your contribution. We appreciate your advice very sincerely. Let's take a few messages. Good morning, presenter. Which candidate in this present Nigerian condition will waste his money this election where the winner takes all? When a candidate gets primary ticket, is a winner already. Bello Musa from North Bank. Okay, Bello Musa. Good morning, presenter and the guest. We are here again. Where thy will of men be done other than the will of the people? Okay. John Kennedy from International Market in Makudi. John Kennedy, thank you for your message. Thank you for sending in. I think John Kennedy seemed to say that the will of men will be done other than that of the people. Having a credible poll at the third tier of government requires the commission, that's a basic effort for the situation by security voters card, improve devices and other voting materials such that the electorate elect leaders of theirs and scrutinize them. without election. All right, I'm trying to make sense of that. Thank you, Isaac Utsua from Iyengom. Isaac, thank you for sending in your message. We appreciate you. Prof, let's come back to mobilizing voters for this election. Is it just merely the political parties, a component of campaigns? You listen to the callers. Campaigns are meant to be a platform for candidates to sell their manifesto. When that is not done, will the voter be guided accordingly to elect?
Yeah. No. I want to say so, that the parties are not doing enough in this country. The parties leave everything to INEC. Parties are supposed to be majorly involved in voter education. In fact, the parties should even be telling the voters about what the INEC is doing in terms of the dates, in terms of the timelines, in terms of the process. And so the parties actually need to do enough. So to some extent, I agree with people who have been commenting. Though they would say that they have been campaigning. I'm not too sure they've been campaigning. Once the parties are there doing their work, and also in terms of the timelines, in terms of the processes of even how to vote, parties are supposed to be involved in that. If you want to vote, then of course you should tell people how you want them to vote for you. So the parties are actually not doing enough. That's always been the issue in this country.
What do you think may be the shortcoming responsible for this particular experience in Benue?
In Benue, of course, we would, first of all, like I said before, even blame the Electoral Commission for not doing enough itself. It's actually not sticking to its own timelines, not telling us about what is supposed to be done. So that also, the Commission needs to do that. And then the parties also need to play their own part. The parties would actually also normally want shortcuts to power. And so to them, it doesn't matter what is being done. Those who think they're going to win will simply get there to win. And others also not want to do enough, but want to win. So.
All right. Just a moment. I'll be back shortly. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives.
Good morning, President.
Thank you for joining us.
Bello Musa calling from North Bank.
The name is who?
Bello Musa calling from North Bank.
Okay, Bello Musa, speak to us briefly. You are the last caller on the program.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? The truth is that almost 90% of the Benue State voters does not know even the candidate of all the parties. So I don't know who are they going to vote. I'm telling you, especially in this number, can't tell any name of any candidate of any party in this election. So I don't know what they are doing in the college election.
All right, Bello Musa, thank you. That's the last call we'll take on the program. But Prof, I am still with you, and this time, this is also an allegation. So many things may remain unanswered, given that the APC spokesperson for the caretaker committee of the APC and organizing secretary who was to join us never showed up. We invited him. Bisector, we extended invitation to them. We didn't have them come. But it is alleged that the APC in particular has feeded candidates from both ends. The embattled state working committee led by the embattled chairman, Austin Agada, is challenging his removal from the position of chairman. Now the caretaker committee is in place. The other group is also laying claim that they have conducted primaries and are feeding candidates. In such a situation, what would be the position of the electoral empire?
There is a law in place. I understand in Benue State the law was recently amended, and it says that the list should be sent by the state organizing secretary. So who I guess has sent a list. So the Electoral Commission would normally have only one name from each local government at any given time. So that is their business anyway. I don't want to comment further on that. But these names should then, the timetable for elections should have timelines. The timelines say on this date, all names should have been submitted. Up to this date, you can also substitute names. So all that should be stuck to by the Electoral Commission, after which they will then publish the names for claims and objections. So that is how the Electoral Commission on its part can tidy up the process and not get involved in the party politics. So stick to your own timelines, accept the names according to the law. The law, of course, was there. It hasn't been challenged by anyone, even though the certain persons will say they don't like it. But of course, I haven't challenged it. So as long as you don't challenge it in the law court, it still remains the law. That is as regards the APC. In terms of the PDP, of course, they have no issue. The names have already been accepted, just like they said here. names are there, and then the Electoral Commission should take these names up to a given time, allow for substitutions, then after which you publish the names for claims and objections. These names should be published for everyone to see, for claims and objections.
Yes.
And so at that time, even members of the public can get to see these names, and of course raise whatever objections they have. If somebody brings in a certificate you think is false, of course at that point you can say this certificate is false. And if there are issues about people not being properly nominated, of course in that case you need to go to a court of law quickly and obtain the judgment, and of course and come back and serve on the Electoral Commission. So the timelines and the processes that have been stuck to can actually tidy up the work of the Electoral Commission, and then helps it to stay very clear of politics.
Okay, Ms. Amze, based on what you have been following as a stakeholder, a chieftain of the PDP that you are, at what stage is BSEC now? Have they published the names for such claims and objections by you, the political actors?
I am not aware such names have been published.
Okay, but Prof, again, I'll come back to you. From the point of view of INEC at the national level, at what time is there meant to be a timeline for publishing of this?
It depends on the date for the
display.
election. It depends on the date for the election. If the INEC says,
for instance, the Benue experience, October 5, and if you go by October 5, today is Friday, 20th of September, so we are counting barely 2
so
weeks.
by now we should have had claims of just and even gone beyond that.
Yes.
Should have had claims of just and tied up the list. This is the final list of those who are going to contest elections. We should have had that.
I'm happy you have put this question to me, and I want to clarify something. About people saying there are no campaigns on the part of political parties. You cannot blame the political parties for the low level of awareness. I said earlier the election was first scheduled for November 14th, and the PDP as a party had planned to commence its campaigns by the middle of October. The political parties wake up one morning and were hit with a reverse timetable, which now brought the time from November 14th to now had October 5th. So parties now had to quickly rush to go into conduct of primary elections to nominate candidates. It was just the other Friday that BSEC even gave PDP the biodata form, and that was the first political party. So you have to go through these hurdles. When you are done, then your candidates that are accepted will hit after screening by BSEC. The screenings were just done somewhere under the screening just this week. So it is now that the main campaign we commence. That's why I said earlier that PDP is going to call for a meeting of the stakeholders at the state level. After then, they will now go to local government level. Yet it's unfortunate that we are running this kind of program. The elections are October 5th, and up to this moment, people are still substituting candidates. The other political party, APC in particular, based on what we have seen. And then even from the callers, some are even complaining. They even said the same thing. So you could see that yet. So you cannot really blame the political parties for the low level of campaign so far, because they will first have to go through nomination to have candidates and they should make sure this candidate are screened and accepted before they can even commence campaigns. So at the level where we are now, we first sold forms, nominated candidates, conducted primary elections, got candidates. We've forwarded them to INEC. They have been screened, given biodata form they have filled and done everything. And your details and every other thing. So people can question you.
All right. To conclude with you, because we no longer have the time, is your party prepared? Do you have confidence in the process? Pointedly.
I have answered that question earlier. I said the commission has assured us that the election is going to be free, fair, credible.
And you have accepted.
And we have accepted. We have taken them for their word.
You are prepared
the
for
next
the election.
minute, we are prepared for the election.
Very
the minute we need to see something else, then we'll raise an alarm.
Okay, Prof. Give us your concluding thoughts on what can be done to achieve credible poll across 276 council wards. One issue we didn't touch on because we didn't have the commission representative here is that they had announced they were creating more wards because we didn't have the commission, I didn't want us to dive into that. So I will stay with the structure of 276 council wards. How can the election be
done? That the Electoral Commission should actually get working quickly. Certain things need to be done, which time is already against them. They should have actually gotten them done. And so I think this time they can still do them. Do these things quickly, get the list tidied up, get the staff in place, recruit ad hoc staff, train them, post them, let them know what are supposed to be working, put in place the other logistical requirements, and so that we can have elections on that day.
Dear listener, that's our program today, which we discuss conducting credible local government elections in Benue State. Professor James Apan is a former resident electoral commissioner of INEC in Kogi State, a former head of department political science at Benue State University. Thank you very much, Prof, for your time with us on Perspective.
Thank you.
David Imze is a stalwart, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party in Benue State. We are grateful to you for sharing your valuable time with us.
Thank you, Mr.
As we did announce earlier,
thank you, viewers.
Our invitation to the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission to feature on this program went unheeded too. The spokesperson for the caretaker committee of the APC in Benue State, who is also the organizing secretary of the committee, James Ogoga, had given us a commitment to join us. He never showed up. Agate Radio is open. The platform is available. 2 weeks to the conduct of the election as we look forward. If there are other unfolding issues that require us to follow up, we are here to serve you. Thank you very much for always listening to